Hope you can hear me.
Hi, am I audible?
Yes, you're audible right now. And I think because of the network error, there is a little bit of blur in your video, but that's fine.
Okay.
So, yes, ma'am. So, we're starting with our interview. So, first, I would like
Sure.
to talk about you, ma'am. So, everyone who is here, we are here with Advocate Sonali Sawant, and she's a leading lawyer from Pune who is practicing in intellectual property and GDPR, and she is appointed as a trademark facilitator and mentor under Startup India scheme, DIPP, Government of India, and she's an expert with 5+ years industrial experience, and she's dealt with proprietary business to startups in various Fortune 500 companies. And she's also been invited as an esteemed speaker in various colleges, in institutes, and forums. And today we are glad that she is here with us. Thank you so much, ma'am, for being here with us.
Thank you for inviting
And
me.
yes, and I am Tanya Shah. I'm from this forum, and I am the PRHR member here. And today I'll be the facilitator. So, ma'am, shall we start with the questions or?
Sure.
Okay, ma'am. So I'm starting with the first question, which is, what do you mean by intellectual property laws or rights, and what are the types of copyrights or trademarks that we have?
Okay. Basically, to start with intellectual property. So trademarks, copyrights are types of this intellectual property. Apart from this, there are various types. First, I would like to explain what exactly is intellectual property. So more than being a theoretical, as this is not my lecture, I am here to give more practical insights. So intellectual
Network issue, ma'am. I cannot hear you. Yeah, just that your voice is being a bit distorted. It's because of the weather, maybe. So.
It is not in the words that you speak. It is in the way you hold the life.
Yes, ma'am, but you can continue. You can
The way
continue.
you are.
Yes.
Whether you are a crawling worm or a big human being, when sun comes up in the morning, it lights up everybody. Whoever opens his eyes, for him there is light to see. So the essential nature of life is all-inclusive. This is the truth. If you sit here like that, absolutely all-inclusive, you are in touch with truth. If you are in touch with truth, there can be no suffering. It's as simple as that.
Okay.
I'm sorry to disrupt you, but your voice is absolutely getting distorted all of a sudden again. I think if you join again, will it be a problem?
Am I now audible?
Yes, you're absolutely audible right now, ma'am. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So, we were at the types of intellectual property basically. So, coming to the first foremost one is the patents. Patents, when the word patents come, it directly gets been focused on what we can say is patents, invention. Okay. So, patents basically cover the invention part of any business. Then comes the copyrights. Copyrights is the literary aspect of any business. So any literary material they are bringing into their business, like it can be the brochure, the pamphlets, the promotional material, that will come under copyrights. Again, there are different types of copyrights: literary, artistic, are there, paintings comes under copyrights part. Then there is cinematographic films, music, notations. Okay, so these are all the types of copyrights. Then comes this trademarks. In trademarks also there are types, but what exactly is trademark? Trademarks is a brand basically. Okay, so any name of the company, the product. Example we can give is regarding the McDonald's. McDonald's is the brand, the M is their logo. Okay, so the word McDonald's comes under word type category, whereas the M in yellow part comes under the device mark, which is the logo. Okay, that is the different part. Third one for trademark is sound mark. Then there is also smell mark. Smell mark is not in India as such now, but it is also one of the type of trademark. Okay, which we can have a protection. Is design part of any what we can say, the product of the company. So one, you can say this pen over here. So the design of this pen will go under design part. So the product aesthetic, what we can say, the pattern is protected under design part. So just to give you the gist and the overall framework of intellectual property, these are the main types and which are commercialized, which are capable of being commercialized in India from a business point of view. Okay, so today if any company comes to you as a lawyer, you should be able to identify these types of IP and you should be able to guide them how we are going to protect it. Okay, so now comes the protection part. So for protection part, the most important thing is we approach the registry. Okay, so Controller General of Patents and Trademarks is the body in India who accepts and who what we can say prosecutes the IP applications. Okay, so they have the department, patents department, trademarks department, and the design department. Copyrights does not come under that. Copyright office is separate, which is one in Delhi. Okay. So for that, if you want to have a particular IP on your work, you have to approach the registry. How you are going to approach the registry? You are going to fill up the forms. So there are different forms under the rules of the particular act. So there is Patents Act for patents, there is Trademarks Act for trademarks, Copyrights Act for copyrights, Designs Act for designs. Okay, there is also a geographical indication, but geographical indication is not that much important from business point of view. Okay, geographical indication belongs to more group of people, like the Darjeeling tea from Darjeeling. Okay, Kanjivaram sari from south. So these are all the geographical indication which shows the origin of the product and with respect to its quality which it is going to have with it. Okay, so we were at the application stage. So there are forms which is been given with the rules. Okay, so with every act there comes the rules, and with every rule there are going to be these forms. So we have to fill up the form to the registry. Registry will examine it. If there is no objection, they accept the application and your IP is going to get registered under that particular head. Otherwise, it will go for hearing. So this is the gist of the application procedure. But before proceeding to the application, one important thing you should know and understand is that now this important thing is with respect to each and every IP. Okay, so for patents, when it comes to patents, the most important thing is that unless and until you file the patent, you cannot claim the right on it. Okay, so once you file the patent, you have the right on it. So for that reason, before filing the patent, you should not disclose your ideas, which might be patentable to anyone. To anyone means to anyone, like not even to your partner. I mean, unless and until you are into a business relationship where you both are going to develop the same product. Otherwise, no need. Then, of course, you should not publish the research paper in the journals. Okay, this is with respect to more technological aspects, the people who are into research and product development and all. First thing is that you should approach the patent attorney, the IP attorney. You should discuss with them whether your idea is patentable or not. If it is patentable, first foremost thing is you should file the application. Otherwise, if you disclose the idea, then the first important part of any patent is it should be novel. It does not remain novel because the other person knows it. Yeah, there is likelihood of they can go and they can claim the patent on it, or if it is published in journal, it comes into public domain. Okay, that is with respect to patents. Now with trademarks and copyrights, the most important part is it is not compulsory for them to get registered. As soon as you create the work, you get the copyrights on it. Okay, and as soon as you start using your trademark, you get the rights on it, trademark rights. Then with respect to design also, it is similar like patents. In that case, you have to file the design. You should not disclose it to anyone. You should not publish it into any magazine. Okay, you should not disclose it to any promotional material. First thing is you should file it. So these are the important things we can see regarding patents and designs. The thing is you should not disclose. Trademarks and copyrights, you can use it because the goodwill and reputation part in trademarks plays very important role. So as much as you publish your mark, as much as reputation you gain in the market, that much protection your mark is going to get. Then the most important question again, it comes to many people is, then what is the need to file trademark copyrights? I mean, if it is directly been protected, then why I should waste my money and energy in registering that work? So the most important thing is that it becomes a very strong evidence for you when there is any infringement. Okay, so for that reason, copyrights and trademarks should be registered. Second part is that it becomes an asset for you. Okay, so if you own a business, if you have a company, any type of company, any IP, any sort of IP is going to be your asset. Just like your office space, the table, the computers, the laptop, the printer, anything you purchase in your office is your asset. Okay, tomorrow if you want to shut down your company, you can sell those assets. The same way, the IP which you create during the tenure of your business becomes your asset. But how you are going to identify that IP? By registering it, by procuring the certificate in your name. That way you are going to, what we can say, formalize those assets. So for that reason, it is important to register the trademark, copyrights, patents, designs. It becomes an inventory for you, wherein you own that ideas. Because nowadays, many businesses are more on ideas. Okay, and when that idea gets hit, the business just booms. Okay, that's the main part. So that is also one of the important things. Third, we can say is regarding if in case there is an infringement, like if anyone is copying your mark, if there is counterfeiting of your mark, if your product, then you have the legal right to take infringement action against that person in civil as well as criminal court of law. Okay, so that right is only what we can say available to the person who is the registered proprietor of that particular work. Okay, so that is also one of the important part. And second thing is like the cost involved in the whole protection part is very nominal as compared to benefits, because whatever you are going to invest, you are going to get protection for 10 years for trademark, which you have to renew it after every 10 years. Okay, for patents it is 20 years. Okay, 10 plus 10, 20 years. For designs it is 10 plus 5. For 10 years you get. After that you have to renew for 5 years. For copyrights it is lifetime of the author plus 70 years. Okay, that is the protection time limit for every IP. Okay, so among these 4 types, if you will see, patents is the exhaustive one. You get only 20 years monopoly in the market. Okay, first the patent is protected for 10 years. After that you have to renew it for 10 years. So the total tenure is 20 years. So you have monopoly in the market for that particular invention only for 20 years. With respect to trademark, it is renewed every 10 years. If you do not renew, your rights exhaust. Okay, your registration gets lapsed. So unless and until you keep renewing your trademark, you get the monopoly on that particular mark. Okay. Third part is regarding copyrights. Copyrights is the most exhaustive protection which you get on your product, on your work. Sorry, which is lifetime of the author plus 60-70 years. Okay, and again in design also it is very limited, 10 years plus 5, that is 15 years. Okay, but if you will see why the protection timeline is so less in patents and design, is that there is a lot of product development involved in particular work. Okay, so in patents, one invention cannot be the same for 20 years. There might be a lot of development in that invention, lot of development in that technology firstly. The same is with design. Okay, designs also get evolved. So for that reason, the time period might be less. Whereas for trademark, once the brand creates the goodwill in the market, it lasts for long. Okay, so this is with respect to timeline. Next, I would come to the who can apply, like who can be the right holder of the IP. So anybody can be right holder. The person who creates the work, of course, can be the right holder. The person who wants to purchase that work, who wants to own that work by paying requisite fees to that person, he can also be the owner of the work. Of course, they should have an agreement between them, transfer agreement, which we say is an assignment agreement between them. Okay, so do you have any more questions regarding IP which is not answered?
We do. We want to know about the international laws and conventions that are related to intellectual property. Yeah.
Okay, so if you will see, IP laws in India are quite old. Okay,
Correct.
on paper, but the momentum it got was since 2005. Okay, every company, every business started identifying their IP. People started registering that IP. Even the IP office in India started functioning well. Why that happened was due to TRIPS agreement. If you all might be aware, TRIPS is a trade-related agreements. Okay, that is one of the major what we can say agreement, international agreement, where India is a signatory. Apart from that, there are specific agreements with respect to that specific IP. Okay, for copyrights, you can say Berne Convention is one of the major agreement where our copyrights laws are based on Berne Convention, and in Berne Convention it is written that copyright need not to be registered. As soon as it is created, it gets protection. Okay. Berne Convention has also given the minimum criteria, which is 60 years, and above that any country was free to add on their years of experience. So lifetime of the author plus 60 years is the minimum criteria in Berne Convention. Any country who is adopting that convention, they are at free will, they can add any extra number of years in their legislation. Third is Paris Convention, on which the trademarks, patents and design laws are mostly based. Okay, so these three conventions, three treaties are one of the important parts on which our Indian legislations are based. Okay, Then there are what we can say agreements like Nice Agreement, Locarno Agreement, okay, Madrid Protocol. Then there is PCT, Paris Convention Treaty. So these are all the developing, what we can say, developing agreements or treaties which came into existence recently, wherein India has adopted them to upgrade their IP laws. Okay, so basically the legislation, if you will see, they are all amended. Okay, first Trademark Act was in 1956, later it was amended in 1999. The same way is Patent Act was majorly amended in 2005, because it was compulsory for India, if they are signatory to TRIPS, they should accept the TRIPS mandates into the legislation. So it took almost 10 years for India to come up with the TRIPS agreement criteria. Okay, the same is with copyrights. So international law, if you will see, plays very important role in the development of IP legislation in India. Okay, because today we see, like since COVID, so we are just coming close to each other because we have various means to contact each other, and the same is with the laws. The territories are just going to shrink. Okay, they are just going to come together, they are going to come closer, and for that reason, if you want to be in the competition, you should be compliant with the international law. That is one of the first mandate. So for that reason, India is into very developing stage with respect to IP laws. They are building their foundation very strong so that they can be able to be compliant with the international agreements which are upcoming. Okay, so Madrid Protocol is one of the important development in Indian field, wherein we can file international trademark application from India. Okay, the same is with PCT, which is Patent Cooperation Treaty, wherein we can file patent application from India. For designs also there is a treaty, but unfortunately India is not till now a signatory, but soon when India becomes the signatory, we'll be able to file that. Otherwise, we file it through Paris Convention mode. Okay, convention application is called. So any country who is signatory to Paris Convention, they can file into the other signatory country within 66 months. They get the priority of that. So these are all the technicalities in the IP laws, and which are very interesting. So if students want to develop the what we can say stint in this IP laws, I suggest them be thorough with the international development. So you get the link why this is into our legislation. Okay, we get that reasoning power with our hand, so that tomorrow we are in a good position to argue or to reason certain things. Okay, because whatever we are doing today in India is everything based upon the international legislation. Okay, only the thing is tenure might be different, fees might be different, forms might be different, and it is also one of the aspect of harmonization. Okay, because IP rights, one of the important things are territorial one. They are not international. There is nothing international IP laws, IP rights into existence. Okay, it is only territorial. So if you are filing a trademark patent design in India, it will be protected in India only. If you want to do a business in US, you have to file your IP into that particular country. And if every country has their different IP laws, then it will be a chaos situation in the world, because every country will say our mandate is that way, our mandate is that way. So for that reason, this international conventions plays very important role. Any country who is party or who is signatory to this international convention have to adopt that provisions into their own legislation, so that there becomes a harmonization into the system. So today, if we are having if you want to file an application, if it is mandatory to file an application to register a patent, a trademark, the same case is with US, the same case is with UK, the same case is with China. Okay, but there are minor countries like what we can say Yemen, Okay, or in India we can say Bhutan, which till now does not have the codified IP laws. Even in Myanmar, recently they have executed their IP legislation. So this IP law also depends upon the developed and underdeveloped status of that particular country. Okay, so India is into almost a developed nation, developed के बीच में. So for that reason, we have a much stronger IP laws as compared to whole Asia. Okay, Asian countries. India has the developed one. It is not underdeveloped. So for that reason, any foreign entity coming in India to have a business, they first see is to protect their IP. Okay. So for that reason, you can say that intellectual property has gained so much momentum in the area. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. And we would go to the next question, which is by another student, which is what are the consequences of not registering an intellectual property?
Okay. So the first thing I said that in first half of our session we said that it is not compulsory to register an IP. Okay. But what happens if we do not register the IP? Any third person can easily register it on a registry first of all, and it is vulnerable to get copying or counterfeiting. So what registration basically does logically is that once you register your IP, it goes with the registry. Registry is nothing but a repository system wherein you register your work and you get a certificate. Okay. Second stage comes with examination stage, wherein registry suo moto takes the examination, carries out the examination, wherein they see whether already existing work is on record or not. Okay. If it is on record, your mark gets objected. If it is not on record, your mark gets accepted. The registry or the authorities over there, they are not going to come in the actual market and see कौन किसका mark use कर रहा है. That is not the situation. They only see whatever they are having in their repository. Okay, I'm so sorry. Yeah. So for that reason, it becomes very important for you to register your mark, your IP, so that it goes into the repository, and tomorrow if any third person comes and files similar mark with your mark or with your work, it gets objected at that stage only. If it does not happen, there are many cases where the person is already using their mark, and tomorrow other person already gets registration, then we have to go behind that person. We have to send them legal notice. We have to take action in the court that we are the genuine user of this mark. He is not. This is with respect to trademark. With respect to patents, if you do not register your patents, your invention is gone. Tomorrow the person will, because in patents it is first to file system. Who files first, he gets the rights. Registry does not see who is the genuine inventor over there. Okay. It is the onus is on the applicant to show how genuine he is. And tomorrow, once that patent application gets published in the trademark patent journal, till that almost 1.5 years has been passed, and you are not going to go and see the journal every time. Of course, big companies like many multinational companies have that provision. Even IP firms like us, we do that monitoring of their IP application, patents, trademarks, designs. But for a layman, they don't even know that this exists. So it's always better you first secure your rights, so that it becomes what we can say as a shield on your business. Nobody can come. Even if they come, registry is there to take care. When registry accepts that mark, then we'll go in front of them. Why you have accepted that mark? It's similar to us. We have that option as well. So for that reason, it becomes very important to register your mark. Second thing is the mark gets diluted in the market. Okay. Today is Flipkart. Tomorrow, if anybody comes, Clickcart. Color is same, everything is same. Okay. And if Flipkart is not a registered mark, they will get the registration. They will come in the market. They will advertise the product as we are registered mark, we are genuine and all everything. Till that, the Flipkart sales are gone down. Okay, people start believing that this is the original one, his products is good. And the thing is, counterfeiting is very important, very, what we can say, negative part in the industry, wherein you get the product with low quality of same brand. Like there are many entities who copy, they have the same brand. If you have Nike shoes, you will get that Nike shoes on footpath also. Okay, that we are like amazed why this is so cheap. Okay, but they are not cheap, they are counterfeited goods. Okay, they are not the original one. They are using the same logo, same brand, same everything, but the quality of the shoe is very cheap. But when you wear that shoes, everybody will think that you are wearing a Nike shoes. So this is one of the major, what we can say, loophole in the whole legislation, where the business person, the company themselves has to be very vigilant and very, very aware of the product who are copying it. And they have to, like, even if you register your product, the main thing is that you should be very aware who is going to use your product. Because once you have your registration certificate, the onus goes on other person to prove his innocence, because you already have obtained the registration certificate. So for that reason, the consequences are very major and very grave if you are not a registered proprietor. Okay.
And there's a question which has come by Nikhil Joshi. And his question is, can you please explain the procedure of how to register IP?
Okay. So if we go with procedure, it is a very long procedure. And IP is what we can say a theoretical word, intellectual property. But in that, there are types, as I have said: patents, trademark, design, copyright, geographical indication, and blah, blah. So each IP, each of the type of the IP has its own procedure. Okay. But to give you the gist of how usually the procedure is, first step is we file the application. Okay. Second step is it goes to the registry, they examine it. Okay. Mostly they examine on two grounds. One is formalities, whether the name and address is correct, whether the fees paid are correct, everything they check. If it is okay, then it goes for what we can say substantive examination. Substantive examination are the grounds which is given under particular legislation. Okay. For patents, there are grounds, like there are section 3, like what inventions can be patented, what cannot be patented. If already existing invention is on record, then you have to differentiate your invention and their invention, how your invention is novel. The same is with trademark. You have to differentiate your product name from the cited product name. That is called a substantive examination. With copyrights, if you will see, there is no examination as such taking place. Okay, because the concept, the theoretical concept and philosophical concept of copyrights is totally different from these three rights, because patents, trademarks, and designs are more industrial category, comes into industrial category, whereas copyrights, if you will see, it goes more into literary work, artistic work. Okay, it does not directly concern to the industry or business per se. For that reason, in copyrights there is no examination. There is only formal examination, no substantive examination per se. In designs also there is a formal examination, no substantive examination. Okay, because when you file the form, you are being asked whether your product is novel, original, etc. If you certify that, they believe that it is there. If you say yes to it, and tomorrow if the person comes to you, then your IP is always vulnerable to cancellation if you are copying someone else IP. Okay, so this right is not absolute unless and until you are a genuine creator or user or adopter of the IP. And then it gets accepted, and once we submit the reply to this examination, it goes for hearing. Hearing may accept ho gaya, then it goes for registration, otherwise it gets refused.
Right. Thank you, ma'am. And another question, which is, why privacy is the buzzword, or what is the right to privacy?
Yeah. So yeah, now we are coming to the main topic also. Privacy, of course, privacy is a buzzword nowadays, since at least right to privacy has been granted as a fundamental right in India. Privacy is one of the major, what we can say, is a major topic for everyone to learn, to understand, and to apply. Okay, even you as an individual, as in third person, as a company. Okay, because many of you might be aware of the personal data protection bill, which is pending, okay, for standing committee review. So in that bill, if you will see, soon it will be act. Not major changes will be done, because already 70% has been covered. Only they are waiting for 30% what changes we can do. Okay, and if you will see the global scenario, the implementation of GDPR, General Data Protection Laws, has also played very important role in India in taking this thing as a first step. That reason, this privacy law has become a buzzword, of course. You all need to know is that it is one of the major developing and evolving law in India and globally. There is no as such courses or law subjects in law school where you can study. You can only do is your own research and application of mind. Okay, because this is underdeveloped subject. This generation is the generation who are going to develop this law as a full-fledged law. If you see IP, it is a developed law. We know कब क्या करना है, क्या नहीं करना है. We have the precedents. But with respect to privacy, we do not have the precedents as such. I'm so sorry again. Yeah, because we are the one who are going to set the precedents in this subject. So it's very important for you all to thoroughly go through the personal data protection laws, the rules, then the GDPR, and to have a overall gist unless and until the act comes. Once the act comes, it is going to be the, what we can say, fixed one, which is going to get, which will come into practice. Because today itself, many people have the gist, and many people are into requirement of having this personal data team or a lawyer. Okay, so this is with respect to privacy. Privacy, everybody knows what is privacy. Okay, I don't think I should explain what exactly is privacy. But of course, there is a need to explain what is privacy law. Okay, so law is to govern, to protect your privacy. Okay, privacy with respect to your name, gender, race, religion, caste, your what we can say, payment details, your card details, financial details, everything which identifies you directly or indirectly is your privacy. And tomorrow, if anybody leaks your information, you can hold that person liable. Okay, so if you go to personal data protection law, now the proposed fees are 5 crore rupees, or 2% of the overall global turnover of that company if that company leaks that information. Also, the onus is on that company to have a data protection officer, okay, who should be able to handle the queries which people might have in future. So these are all the to-do list. Apart from this, there are many other to-do lists in India under this data protection law, wherein you have to be the company have to be on their toes if anything occurs. And regarding data generation, we can say data is the fuel for today's economy. Every app, every business, they are doing business on this data. Okay, and of course, with coming generation, the data is going to get increased. So how we are going to govern this data is everything into this bill draft, which will become, I'll suggest you to read and go through the GDPR laws of Europe. because our personal data protection, we can say 50 to 60% is based on that law.
Okay.
Okay.
And ma'am, what do you
Yeah.
think about new WhatsApp policies and
Oh,
the
WhatsApp.
buzz? Yes, and the buzz that it has created in all the individuals.
Okay. So, with respect to WhatsApp policy, I would like to say that is that, see, now WhatsApp is a very global entity. Okay.
Mhm.
So, and the privacy policy, if you will go through, see, this is also very important thing. Like today, we are downloading n number of apps. Every app or every website has their own terms and conditions and privacy policy. You are expected to go and read through that privacy policy, but unfortunately we do not. And the same is with WhatsApp, we do not. So tomorrow if WhatsApp is going to do anything, we are so habitual with that app that we are not going to leave that end-to-end encryption. They have provided that they have all the messages which we send to the person which has been encrypted. Okay, but the legality of it, we don't know exactly how this works. Okay, because this is a technical subject matter, how they have put. Of course, it is their product, it is one of their feature where they want to give trust among the users that whatever you are sharing is safe. Why they have created this? Because of this GDPR, because of this data protection laws, and because of many other countries are becoming aware of this protection. Because today sharing the data or messaging anyone, sharing our ideas, communication has become very easy. And when this communication becomes very easy, there are a lot of what we can say problems which might be created in future. Okay, so with respect to that, WhatsApp has changed its privacy policy, and they have this end-to-end encryption with them, which of course I also use WhatsApp. So I don't think so it might be a harmful aspect for us as being the users of WhatsApp, because being such a good entity, they are compliant with all the policies which has been put forth by all the countries.
Right.
Yeah.
Because we are running short of time, so I would like to ask just another question about the personal data protection bill, which was passed in 2019, and what is the need for it exactly?
See, the personal data protection bill is introduced by Lok Sabha. Okay, it has not been yet passed on to Rajya Sabha. Okay, it is into the middle. Okay, because that bill has been drafted. Again, if anybody might be aware, there was a white paper been circulated by government wherein they asked for comments from the people, from the industry experts, to give their comments on that white paper. So that white paper, including the comments which were worthful, came into this personal data protection bill 2019. And again, usually this bill goes to Rajya Sabha, okay, for the discussion part. But after Lok Sabha, it is into the middle stage between Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Again, a standing committee has been appointed to reconsider the whole bill. Okay, so the status is that usually the need of that bill is so much that it should have been passed by early 2020, but due to COVID, it has been on hold. But I guess that if everything goes well, it should get passed by 2022, because the number of data which has been created, there is really a very long run a need for us to have a cap on all this data transmission or data circulation, data mining, and whatever not things are happening with respect to this data of all the users.
Right, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. And right now the forum is open for questions from other students, so we can take questions. If anyone has any questions, they can put it on the chat box so that ma'am can answer to your queries. So till then, ma'am, I would like to ask certain other questions. Ma'am, why do you think that right to privacy is related to right to life? I mean, how is it related exactly to right to life?
Okay. So right to life is
Right to
already
life.
right to life. Yeah. So right to life is already a fundamental right under Indian Constitution. Okay. So the only thing was right to privacy was not a fundamental right, which was given status in 2017. When it comes to privacy and life, okay, privacy becomes a very integral part of any human being. It is
Right.
it is one of the major subject matter when it comes to day-to-day living. Okay, the most sensitive example I would like to give is with respect to transgender. Okay, so today also in India, the status of transgender is not fully accepted. Okay, and what is my gender or what is your gender or what is person's gender is their thing. It is not a society thing. Okay, so tomorrow if that information is being leaked, okay, and because of that leaked information, if the society perception towards that person changes, then it is going to directly affect the day-to-day living of that person. Okay, and this is the information which we do not go and publicly tell people.
Right.
Okay, to which gender or to which caste, to which race I belong to. This information is always going to be on some or the other documentation, or some or the other what we can say with authority which we are submitting. So if we are submitting our information to that authority, it becomes their responsibility to protect it. I guess there is one question,
Yes,
whether Pengasus scandal is come under right to privacy or not, because it is made only for government body.
Yes,
The scandal part is for government body or right to privacy? Sorry, I do not understood this question. What exactly it is?
Ma'am, it's asked by Nikhil Joshi, so I would like him to ask this.
I mean, he wants to say that right to privacy is only against government body, or
yes, ma'am.
okay. So with respect to right to privacy is not only against government body, it can be against any entity. Okay, so this question, like I guess this might be the idea, because in US they have this right to privacy being differentiated with entities. Okay, for financial institution, for government bodies, for healthcare centers, the rules are very different. But right now the only legislation we have in front of us is personal data protection laws. We do not have any other legislation, and that too it is a bill which is not passed. So the status of it is of course questionable, but we have some part before us wherein we can refer to in case. So in that, if you will see, it is not only against the government, it can be against any private entity.
Right.
And regarding Pengasus scandal, I'm really very sorry, I'm not aware of it. So I'm not in a position to comment on that.
Okay, ma'am. Even I'm not really aware of that actually. So, but thank you so much, ma'am. It was a really enlightening session for all of us, and we look forward to having more sessions with you like this. Thank you so much.
It would be my pleasure. And thank you, Legal Forum, and Shubham and you for inviting me to this session. I really enjoyed it. And if any student or any attendee has any question, they can comment it or they can ask me via LinkedIn. Okay, I'll always be available to answer it accordingly. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Okay, bye. Take care.
Take care.